Did you see that? Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to The Spectator by SKITZOpHISH. This is my first episode of doing my own little sports take. Welcome! Don't forget to spam that subscribe button all the way till it explodes! Literally! You can also follow us on Discord where we can continue these discussions. On this episode, I wanted to talk about something that's been going on in this season with the GOAT, Tom Brady. Here we have a discussion by Skip and Shannon on their show Undisputed, where they talk about Bruce Arians' statement to Tom Brady. Now, I like watching these shows and all, but I created this show so I can give my own opinion and chime in on these discussion topics. Bruce Arians' comments on Tom Brady. Was it necessary? So obviously there's big talk about the GOAT and if he's actually in a decline, right? For years, people were like, oh, Tom Brady's washed up, and then he takes him to another playoff game, takes him to another championship, takes him to another Super Bowl. And now they gave him the boot. This is the season. This is the Belichick versus Brady season. Now, first of all, I hate Tom Brady. I'm a Giants fan. That being said, that doesn't mean I don't respect what he's done. He is the GOAT. I don't think anyone's done it better. He's got 6 rings, and I think it's funny because Belichick has 8. So, but, you know, this is the Brady versus Belichick season. Who was really responsible, which I think is a funny question because I think they're both responsible. People keep tossing it up. Who's more responsible? Was it Tom Brady because he's the GOAT, he's the QB, or is it Belichick, the coaching, you know, and the system that he put together? People are looking at it as like, oh, well, who's going to do better now? This is going to tell us the answer. I really don't think it will. But it's a fun topic to discuss nonetheless. I'm a Giants fan, and that's my favorite team of all time. But then, you know, there are a couple teams I like to watch out there, and I've always actually liked the Bucks because I do have like a complete obsession with Pirates. The Bucks, yeah, that's a cool team. Yar. Now that he's on Tampa, he's actually the quarterback of my fantasy football team too, so I have some added interest to this conversation there. So for the Bucks game, Brady completed the game against the Saints with a completion percentage of 63.9%, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. People are going to look at this game and they see that 2 interceptions, and that's the talk of the town right now to be like, oh, there it is, he's in decline. See, Brady sucks. It's 2 interceptions, like it or not. Bruce Arians then made these comments. He looked like Tom Brady in practice all the time. So it's kind of unusual to see that in a ball game because they didn't do the things that we didn't get ready for. Everything they did, we thought we were ready for. He's basically saying, like, Brady looked like he was playing the game like he did in practice. And that's unusual, right? Because you're not practicing right now. I look at that sentence and I'm just like, well, this is the first game in a new system when there was no preseason. So technically, it's going to be played out like practice, whether or not you want it to be. So, like, I don't think Brady went in there as just like, lolly-dollying, throwing this ball. Like, I think he went there to try to win, but it played out like practice. There was practice errors happening because there was no preseason. This was a full-on game against a Super Bowl contender. So you have Brady throwing against a defense that's supposed to be actually one of the better defenses in the league, which I also have on my fantasy squad. Bruce Arians basically throwing him under the bus, but then he later rescinds his comment, right? Because at first he's kind of putting the blame on both interceptions on Tom Brady and realizes the second one, which I think ended up being the pick 6 one, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from Janoris Jenkins, but that one was Mike Evans' fault. They misread the defenses. One guy ran this way, the ball went that way, and Janoris Jenkins ate that up. Hot on it, Jackrabbit Jenkins. It got played out like a whole practice session for everyone, not just Tom Brady. This a whole team effort. Tom Brady isn't throwing the passes to himself. He's throwing it to other people who also need to learn how he plays, learn how to play with him. This wasn't Tom Brady versus the Saints. This was Tampa Bay versus the Saints. It's a team effort. Everyone got thrown in there with no preseason games, just like every other team. But to have a quarterback that's completely new to the system is going to be a lot different than Drew Brees and the Saints coming in with no preseason games. So I think Bruce Arians' comments were, for the most part, unwarranted. Like, you're a head coach, you know what is going on, so there was no need to make these comments after the first game. That's what I think. I think he could have held that in and just see what happens next, because I'm sure Brady's going to pick up the pace. He's Tom Brady. He is the GOAT. He's got 6 rings. He didn't come here to retire and have a vacation. He came here to play football, which goes into another show. What was it? First Take. Yeah, with Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith. Max said something interesting. He said he was trying to allude to the fact that maybe Bruce Arians thinks Tom Brady needs more external motivation, and he thought that was worrisome. I'm just going to say I like Max Kellerman a lot. I like a lot of the things that he says. Today, or yesterday, was not one of those days. External motivation for Tom Brady? The guy that just got booted from the Patriots and basically still has a lot of game in him? I don't think Brady needs any kind of external motivation more than he already has. There was no need to make these comments. I'm sure Brady himself is looking at the film, beating himself up. And the whole team's looking and seeing where they could do better. And it's going to happen. Tom Brady's not immune to coaching, per se. Bruce Arians can say whatever he wants to Tom Brady, and that's fine. I just don't think it was warranted. It was unnecessary at this point, after the first game, with no preseason and a pandemic. But yes, Bruce Arians is allowed to criticize him for throwing an interception, as I'm sure he's going to criticize Mike Evans. But yes, you can say that it was unwarranted because he kind of blamed both on Tom Brady before he actually saw that, oh, this one actually wasn't his fault. Whoops. Like, novice coaching. Like, you're supposed to get your ducks in a row first before you start throwing accusations. Because nobody likes being accused of something that they're not guilty for. So, the idea is, he did okay. He can do better, and he probably will do better. And for the first game, it was like Bruce Arians was just so upset he put the blame on Tom Brady because the Bucs didn't fix an ongoing issue. Touchdown to interception ratio. But I do think it will be fixed, and I think he overreacted early. Maybe he was emotional. But yes, it was unwarranted. Now, I'm going to make another video later talking about Cam Newton and his game, what's going on. And then I'm also going to dig into my Giants, and also a video about who I think is going to win the Super Bowl this year. So stay tuned. Now, if you disagree with anything I said, that's okay. Just let me know. Drop it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Because it's not like I know anything about sports. I'm just spectating. See what I did there? So let me know what you think. And I'll catch you next time on The Spectator.
A special thanks to the one person that's been able to make this video possible. Us. But don't worry. You could become a patron too and have your name displayed here.
You'll never have these secrets. You crazy mother...